Welcome to Oulton Park. It's round 8 of 9 for the 2017 Championships with Thundersport. It's the AVON Tyres Golden Era Superbike and Alto Digital GP1 Classics, including the GP1 Freshman as well. The champion here of GP1 Classics, Shane Pearson, number 35, with the number 1 there on his front screen, is out to play, but it is all to play for in the Golden Era Superbikes. Coming into this round, an 18-point difference between championship leader Richie Thornton, number 71, and Ryan Strafford, number 57. That is the one that I really want to keep an eye on, although we do have a couple of other GP1 Classics out there today that will surely compete. At the front there, away from the line, is Joe Ravenscroft, number 53, who's also racing in GP1 this weekend. Has to be looked at as a firm favourite for this one. And he is already roaring down the hill. We're on board here with Ryan Strafford. Double points on offer here. 2 races. Strafford, of course, the one that needs to try and find a way of consolidating this championship gap between him and Thornton, or better still, closing the gap down going into the next round. Brilliant move there from Strafford underneath the GP1 Classic champion Shane Pearson, who always takes just a couple of laps to get himself going. So Ravenscroft on a GP1 Classic, and old R1 there is fastest and leads from Thornton, Strafford, Pearson. Number 13 just behind there is Richard Blunt, a former Golden Era Superbike champion, of course. He's actually out there on a Suzuki. I presume it's a K1, Sid.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Which needs, just so that you know, you have to have restricted throttle bodies to run those. But, yeah, really good. I believe the bike actually belongs to Matt Pearce.
Okay.
And in actual fact, I've just given him some fairings, and he was going to put them on because they're all black widowed up, and we were going to surprise you, but he never got around to it. I think they had a bit of a busy weekend, some repairs on the 500 that they were running, etc., etc. Anyway, won't bore you anymore with that.
Joe Ravenscroft leads. Thornton got it well out of shape coming out of Druids. That's allowed Strafford to close up. Pearson's lost another place to Blunt. There's Biswell, number 1, and number 96 there, blue and green Kawasaki, is Kieran Smith. Alongside him is obviously the more up-to-date, modern-looking machine. That's Robert Smith, 775, who could become the freshman champion in GP1 here in this race. It looks very likely that he will do so. Second and third still up for grabs in that. In terms of second and third in the GP1 Classic, by the way, John Wright, injured, broken arm. He's been trying to, he's got a couple of championships that he's looking to try and cling on to, but the steel frame at Golden Era Supersport far more important to him at this moment, because of course he can't win GP1 Classic. So Martin Stanier might well be able to capitalise on that here today. But this is the battle, Sid, that we've been sort of keeping our eye on, as well as the GP1 Classics. Ravenscroft there, a former super team with us, is away with it. He looks a handful already here at Oulton Park. But these two boys, Thornton and Strafford, there's not been a lot that's split these guys all year long.
No, and as ever, there's yet another twist in the tail here this weekend. And I think it's fair to say that Richie Thornton has had several twists in his championship tails. But yesterday, here in wet practice, he had a massive high side, and he really damaged his right knee badly, and thought his championship dream was over, to be fair. He could hardly walk on it this morning, it was so painful. But after strapping him up and everything else, his dad did with a knee tube support and made by toes off some old sports socks and taping him up with gaffer tape and so on. They lifted him onto the bike for the warm-up. But if you notice, he'll probably be. He was having trouble keeping his foot on the foot peg because it kept bouncing off because he couldn't lift it. So you know, they think it might be cartilage or ligament damage. So we'll be seeing a doctor after this weekend. But so to be fair, the fact that he's there at the moment in front of Ryan, he's doing a pretty fabulous job. He's really badly injured.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice it, would you? That's for sure. Doing a great job. We just saw their Andy Chalice, number 20, up ahead of that number 48 Aaron Collins on the BMW, and Aaron Collins is of course a freshman rider. There's 221, another freshman, Ryan Ledbetter, currently second in the GP1 freshman championship. But here is Thornton then that Sid was talking about, 71 up ahead of Strafford, and just behind them Richard Blunt. He's closing up on them on his Portico Sport Suzuki. There is Stanier, number 121. Number 16 is Craig Jeff, just acclimatising to life back at circuit and short circuit level again. Number 32 there is Jake Owen, another freshman. So there's a mixture of old and new machinery out there. Joe Ravenscroft, though, it is on the James Campen Yamaha.
Number 53 or something.
Yeah, absolutely flying away from the pack at the moment, and isn't actually, considering it's a little damp in places here at Oulton, he's only 4/10 off John Dieterman's outright lap record in Golden Era Superbike. I know that this is a GP1 Classic and he'll set his own lap record anyway, but considering the conditions, that is not bad at all. And he's struggling to keep that front end down. Across the line he goes, he leads from Thornton. Last couple of laps he's looked really good here.
Should just say that Shane Pearson is injured as well. He's battered and bruised. He's crashed and he's covered in bruises, and so he's struggling here this weekend.
Yeah, well, you normally expect to see Shane battling at the front end with these guys, don't you? And that's obviously not the case here. So that's a shame for him. Hopefully he fixes up ready for the last round, although his championship is done and dusted. And now you see on board here with Ryan Strafford, a man that he knows very well, Richard Blunt, goes past him and moves up into third place. Now Blunt is a GP1 Classic, so he doesn't lose championship position to Thornton, but Strafford at the moment here just struggling to hang on to the tails of Thornton, who as it stands would be on for 50 points for a Golden Era Superbike win. It would then be 40 for Strafford. That would put the gap to 28 with 150 points still available. Strafford really doesn't want to lose ground.
Well, he had a magnificent Anglesey, didn't he? 4 out of 4, you know, and it would be, I think he'd be gutted really to see some of these points ebbing away from him. I mean, he'll know this is double points, and obviously there's only one round to go, and it'll be all to play for.
Here's the rookie number 48, Aaron Collins, with that orange bib on. Yeah, I mean, you want it to be you want to be in a situation where you can go into the final round knowing that if you were to win all 4 races at the final round, you've got a chance of winning the championship, and that would be the case if he wasn't to lose ground overall on Thornton today. But
because it makes you wonder, given that situation, you know, whether if Richie Thornton had a bigger cushion than that, would he be content to simply follow Ryan Strafford around? We asked this. How many times do we ask that question?
Oh, Martin Stanier here has got a problem. That's a
very unusual for him, isn't it?
Rider from Stoke. This is as good a home circuit you're ever going to get for him, and that helps John Wright out a bit anyway, because John Wright's not out there at the moment, and he was hoping not to see Stanier pick up too many points, and he hasn't, because he's into pit lane now for race 1. Not sure what's happened there to Stanier. Meanwhile, at the front, Ravenscroft it is that still leads. Funnily enough, his lead has been cut slightly by Thornton. Certainly showing no ill effects of his injury at the moment through Britain chicane. Blunt is catching the pair of them at the moment. In fact, Richard Blunt, 44.1. He's the fastest rider on circuit at this moment in time on his Equire MC Racing Suzuki, with that Portico Sport sponsor on the side as well.
That's only a 10th off Dieterman's lap record, isn't it? And I mean, that was quite a well sorted bike, John Dieterman's bike, wasn't it?
Well, Richard Blunt will know all about that anyway, won't he?
Yeah, he will, yeah.
Here is the Corky Racing colour scheme for Kieran Smith, number 96. Currently, coming into this round anyway, he was 8th overall in the championship for 2007. Here is Ryan Strafford. It's a funny old championship this, because you're usually at Thundersport over the course of a season with 4 races per weekend. You do see riders slip up, crashing here, there and everywhere. Both Thornton and Strafford, they've shared the wins, but neither of them take a tumble. Now I don't want to tempt
Shut
fate,
up, Steve.
but you know, it's very unusual
I'm not going to say that.
to see them throwing it up the road, and so you really do have to make the most of your opportunities on circuit. More often than not, if one of them wins, the other one is second place. I should just point out as well, in the championship for third, very close between Mark Biswell and Andy Chalice. 4 points in it between those two, and someone's gone down there. Blimey!
Oh no!
That's a real. Oh,
no,
he's done
well. Oh, well done, lad.
That is
what a save!
Spectacular. That's Biswell. I was just talking about him. Commentary curse.
Wow.
Biswell has gone down, and he's very lucky there. He looked like he might be a bit hurt, but he was in the middle of the circuit.
How seldom does he crash, Steve?
Not very often, is it, that you see his bike in bits. Number 48, Aaron Collins, take a bow. I thought you were down in the dirt for sure there.
What a save!
Well, Mark Biswell, I was then talking about third in the championship. He had, coming into this, a 4-point lead over Andy Chalice. Well, Andy Chalice, well, his ears will prick up now because a finish in this race means he'll now move up to third overall.
How did Aaron avoid him?
No
Unbelievable.
idea. It's one of those moments where the rider on circuit, you see a bike heading towards where you've got your heart in your mouth. But anyway, Joe Ravenscroft continues to blitz the field here. This is the closer battle between Thornton and number 13, Richard Blunt. Now, unless Thornton's got a pit board, he'll be able to probably hear that there's a bike wasping around on his tail unit. As we now go across the line and into Old Hall Corner. No, not this time. Strafford's almost waved the white flag in this first race to Richie Thornton and said, you know what, you deserve this, I'm going to take the second place.
I think actually Richie Thornton is being pushed by Richard Blunt, you know, because they seem to be drawing up to Joe Ravenscroft a touch.
3 yellow bikes, and there's another one. Number 35, Shane Pearson, 5th on circuit, but behind Ryan Strafford. There.
Shane's doing well actually there to come around here in 5th. He is badly battered and bruised. He's, you know, he can't hang off that bike at all.
Oh, and there's been a change now. There is number 13. He's gone past Richie Thornton. Thornton, though, is smart. He'll know that that Richard Blunt isn't a threat to him in the championship. On his Kawasaki there. There is Richard Blunt then moving up into second place. I'll tell you what, if Blunt would have got a better start, he might have had a shout here at beating Joe Ravenscroft. There is Ravenscroft just up ahead of him, and Blunt is homing in. Thornton there. What's he got his arm up for? Is he waving at someone? Oh no, we've got red flags. Red flags. Race has been stopped. Hopefully everyone is A-OK, but the race has been stopped, and it will be a confirmed race win for Joe Ravenscroft. Richie Thornton will take second, funnily enough, across the line because it went back a lap. Richard Blunt third, Strafford fourth, but Golden Era Superbike 1 and 2, well, you'll see them in a moment. There's Joe Ravenscroft, the winner from Richard Blunt and Shane Pearson in GP1 Classics. Thornton wins from Strafford and Andy Chalice in Golden Era Superbike, and in the freshmen it's Robert Smith, Jake Owen and Aaron Collins. Well, let's see if we can get a race full distance and whether Joe Ravenscroft will get a challenger in race 2 in a sec.
GB Racing, world-class motorcycle protection.
Time for race 2 then. Joe Ravenscroft the winner in race 1, number 53, lining up on pole next to Shane Pearson. And on the front row also Rob Smith, and congratulations to Rob. He's wrapped up the Thundersport GP1 Freshman Championship for 2017, and I'm sure he's had a lot of fun out there with these GP1 Classics and Golden Era Superbikes this year. Say what you like about the freshman class. Okay, he's on modern machinery, Sid, but it's given him the opportunity to work on his racecraft, and he'll become a better rider as a result of it.
Yeah, and exactly, and he's out there amongst experienced riders. It's really helped him, and now he'll move up. He'll move up to the sportsman class, in the, you know, with the elite boys. And the lights go out. What a great start there.
Yeah, great start for Shane Pearson. Not so much for Joe Ravenscroft on pole position. He really just could not get that
Bobbed
going.
it, didn't he?
Yeah, Strafford's away well. Ravenscroft then a bit of work to do. The race 1 winner, So down the hill we go. On board now with Strafford. He just loses out on a place there to, I believe that was Ravenscroft. So he's regrouped immediately. There's Brad Davey. Mark Biswell, by the way, who crashed earlier on, not out in this one. I hope he's all right, but I would imagine he's probably gone for a bit of a medical checkup after that one. Here is Shane Pearson up ahead of Richie Thornton. Thornton then with the win in the Golden Era Superbike last time to this man. Strafford has a 28-point lead over Strafford there, but what a start it was from Ryan. He's really, if he wins this one ahead of Thornton, then we're back to where we were at the start of the weekend. And I think, given what happened in race 1, Ryan Strafford would probably take that. We're on board with him now as he breaks downhill into his. He's really awkward to get right this one, and up the inside goes Jay Ravenscroft. Richard Blunt's got a better start this time, number 13 in third. Now that could play a massive part because he had the fastest lap of the race in race 1 before the red flag came out.
I should just point out though, it won't make any difference to Ryan Strafford's point situation, Richie Thornton's point situation, because they get points in class. So the GP1 class, you know, the overall race winner doesn't actually get more points than the guy is in second if you're in a different class.
No, absolutely. So Thornton and Strafford have just got eyes for each other. That's all they're really concentrating on. Strafford doesn't really care about Blunt, he doesn't care about Ravenscroft, but if he sees the number 71 coming underneath him, that makes a big difference.
The only thing is that when you get someone like Richard, I mean, Richard's a very, very good rider, and you know, even with someone with Ryan Strafford's now experience, you know, it's quite possible that he could follow his lines, you know, and that could like take his lap times up a bit.
On board here with Stuart Goodson. Just making up a place there, going underneath Andrew Meechin, and Meechin goes back past him again and made a bit of a mess of that one. But here is Joe Ravenscroft, then the leader from Strafford. So they are leading their separate classes. Blunt, though, all over the back of Ryan Strafford. Looking pretty comfortable, it has to be said, on that Suzuki, is Richard Blunt. So versatile. Just chuck him on anything and he'll ride the wheels off it. There's Ravenscroft up ahead, and there goes Blunt up into second place. So the two GP1 Classic riders, first and second, the leading Golden Era Superbike now third. Shane Pearson, despite injuries, still up there, but he's sandwiched in between the riders fighting for Golden Era Superbikes. There's the beautiful Ducati run by Brad Davey, number 14. He rides in the Golden Era Super Sport as well as Goodson and Meechin there continue to have a bit of fun.
Brad Davies been with us a long while, hasn't he? Bless him, brilliant. I mean, like in both the Golden Era Super Sport and the Superbikes
and Street Fighters. That's where he was I believe was he the first ever Street Fighter C champion? I think he was. Brad Davey. That was back in 2010, I think. So yeah, Brad Davey's been a long-standing member of the Thundersport paddock.
Yeah, that was before he became a Ducati enthusiast.
Yes, absolutely.
Although, I mean, for a time there, his 748 was probably the class of the field in the steel frame, wasn't it?
Yeah, and lovely bikes to boot as well. I mean,
they should be in your lounge in a glass cabinet.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Not racing them out here.
There is Strafford then. He's struggling to stay with the two GP1 Classic riders. He's got another one just up behind him as well, Shane Pearson.
So now let me think. So 18 points ahead.
There's 28 at the moment.
Yeah, but if it
stays like this,
it
18.
18. Now, the only thing I would say here is that Ryan Strafford is a big Donington fan. I wonder if that's part of his thinking. I don't know. But he could do without a 28-point buffer.
Well, that's
sure.
Well, the thing is it, you know, the only way it would stay a 28-point buffer is if they were to both fail to finish this race. He's got to beat him, and it will be, as you can see where they're placed at the moment, 3rd and 5th on circuit, 57 there. If it stays like this, it's down to 18. But if Thornton were to beat him, then it goes up to 38, and I would then say that could be curtains. Based on their consistency, 38 would be a bridge too far for Strafford, I think.
Yeah.
But if he
but
gets
even
it down,
even with 18 points, I mean, if Ryan was to win all 4 races and Richie was to come second, Ryan would only still win by 2 points.
But he wins, that's the difference.
Yes, of course, yeah.
It doesn't matter how many points you win by, but yeah.
But it's nail-biting stuff, which is lovely for us.
It's brilliant. I mean, the thing is that with that comes pressure as we look further back in Goodson again. Just going past Colin Mooney.
It's an interesting shot, isn't it, from under the seat?
It's not a bad one, actually.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. Ravenscroft continues to lead ahead of Blunt, Strafford, Pearson and Thornton. Thornton maybe now just starting to feel the effects of the injury, but Strafford, credit to him, he had a great start. He launched off the line, and that's why he is where he is. The thing is with it, Sid, is that Strafford is a big fan of Donington. Can you imagine if he wins both races on Saturday, Thornton second in both, and there's 8 points in it going into the final day? You know, all of a sudden, whether you're a fan of Donington or not, there'll be a few butterflies down on the grid. But anything can happen in this racing. You know, it could all be done and dusted in the first couple of races. It might not. And there's still a little way to go in this one as yet. From a neutral perspective, we'd all love it to go to the final race between Strafford and Thornton. So if you boys could just work that out between yourselves, that would be really appreciated from here in the commentary box.
So we've got the Golden Era, is because I mean Golden Era Supersport is tight, isn't it? And Golden Era Superbikes is tight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of 3 riders, any one of 3 riders can win Golden Era Supersport. And any 1 or 2 can win Golden Era Superbike. And I have to say, Sid, that between Ryan Strafford and Richie Thornton, you feel sorry for whoever you feel sorry for whoever lost the championship.
I would feel, you know, because they both desperately want it, and it's well, I guess that's why it's such a battle, isn't it? But I'll tell you what has just happened. Richard Blunt has just gone through a 1:43.848, which is just over 2/10 faster than John Dieterman's Golden Era Superbike lap record.
Oh, you should point out, despite the fact that it was a well set up bike and it was well balanced, Dieterman had that singing. Realistically speaking, someone like Richard Blunt on a bike like this should be probably a little quicker than John Dieterman on that.
He should.
I mean, he's done very well considering he's not used to the bike.
You got to remember that the Dieterman machine wasn't a 750; it was like an 840 or 860, whatever it is. Well set up bike, very, very well fettled. I will admit that when the R1 came out in '98, it was a game changer, and then when the GSXR Suzuki came out in 2001, I think that was another game changer. So you have got a good point.
Well,
but the restricted throttle bodies on the, you know, it takes it back to into the era of like the R1 really.
Joe Ravenscroft is coming under pressure now from Richard Blunt. Blunt knows how to win these races. Ravenscroft won the race earlier, but now he's really going to be tested by one of the more experienced Thundersport GB riders, Richard, who has been, as Sid said, in Thundersport 500s. He's been over in Australia. I think he's about to go over to Germany as well and have a little play out in a race soon over there. He really is mixing it at all levels at the moment, as we see the new freshman champion Rob Smith here really getting his teeth stuck into a battle with number 48 Aaron Collins, who went grass tracking earlier to avoid Mark Biswell. So here is
I just need to play up to him again. Well done, Aaron Collins. Not only did you miss somebody who was sitting right in the middle of the track, but you saved it once you went on the dirt. Unbelievable. Big hand and high five.
Down into Hizzies, the 2 GP1 Classic riders scrapping away. Strafford still leads further back over Richie Thornton. And I suppose if you're neutral, you want it to sort of stay that way really, so that the gap is closed back to 18 going into Donington Park, the final round. There will be 4 races there, no double points, only double points here because of the 2 race format.
I'll tell you what, that Joe Ravenscroft's R1, it just looks like it's got a breath snatcher on the front of that. I reckon that's had a ram air conversion, you know. I kind of recognise that, having been one of the pioneers of said construction.
No, really? Spent every night playing and fiddling around with R1s in the garage back in the day, Sid.
I think up and down on the local dual carriageway with somebody with a radio on each roundabout to look out for the men in blue.
Here's Richard Blunt. He's managed to fight through on Joe Ravenscroft. So now Joe Ravenscroft has got to find something. Is he going to stretch the younger rider behind him, Richard Blunt? Richard's not old by any means, but Joe is a former Super T.
He is a dad though, I don't know if Joe is, but...
Rob Smith here then, confirmed freshman champion. It looks like Ryan Ledbetter is going to guarantee himself. Oh, no, he's gone there for another grind. Can he do another save? Yeah, well, this one looks a lot calmer, doesn't it? He's just having a good old look round. Onto the circuit we go. He just rejoins. Oh. And then he's taken another shortcut as well. Oh, why not?
That'll be the best lap of the day.
So Blunt,
he likes a bit of grass, doesn't he? Obviously.
Blunt there struggling to keep the front wheel down on his Suzuki. Does that give Ravenscroft a bit of a sniff? Further back there we see number 39. That is Rick Ullman on his Yamaha. Up ahead of Andy Chalice, who with no Mark Biswell is going to take a little advantage with him into Donington Park in the scrap for third. Now then, these are the two boys for Golden Era Superbike, and Richie Thornton's closing in on Ryan Strafford now. At the front. Oh, hang on. There's Richard Blunt. But where's Joe Ravenscroft? There's Joe Ravenscroft. He's got a problem, Sid, in the background. Since being dropped to second, Ravenscroft here has got an issue and doesn't look like he's going to be playing anymore.
No, it certainly doesn't.
Strafford and Thornton go through. There is Pearson. So, well, he's still going round, is Ravenscroft.
Oh.
Didn't opt to go into the pits this time.
Aaron Collins, by the way, did pull in, so he didn't go off. He went off circuit purposely because he had a problem, by the looks of it.
So Blunt then, home and dry on his own. Incidentally, the actual Golden Era Superbike lap record, which still stands to John Dieterman, they've got closer to it, Ryan Strafford and Richie Thornton. They're into the low 144s, but they're not going to be quite close enough. Now on board here with Strafford, who goes past Joe Ravenscroft now. And I wouldn't imagine it'll be too long before Thornton does the same. Into Shell Oils. Strafford will be desperate here. This is such an important couple of laps for Strafford.
See, now, yeah, he gets slowed a bit, but he doesn't look that slow, does he, Ravenscroft? I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Something's gone wrong there, there's no doubt about it. You can't just fall off the edge of a cliff like that for no reason.
Well, of course, you know what the R1s always used to suffer with that gear change mechanism, didn't they? The selectors. And they used to, you know, when they were like ready to go completely, they used to like give you a big problem with the gear changing, and that seemed to smack of that, I think.
There's Rob Smith still leading in the freshman class, number 19, just up behind him.
Somebody does a modification for that now, by the way. I did my own modification back in the day, but they do a modified unit for that now, for anybody who's got an R1 and suffers that problem. Best to do it before you suffer the problem, to be fair, but...
Blunt still leads outright, GP1 Classics. Strafford and Thornton, and now Ravenscroft has got his arm in the air. And now he's definitely coming into pit lane. That's the end. Into pit lane he pulls.
Richie Thornton hasn't finished with Ryan, has he?
No, not at all. And this is so crucial. The last lap flag is out. And so it's just this guy here, Richard Blunt. He's going to get another win to his name. He's won in the Thundersport 500, he's won at Golden Era Superbike, and now he's going to win a GP1 Classic race as well. Richard Blunt.
See, that should have said Black Widow Racing all over that. But I'll tell you what happened, because those fairings of yours were off a 750, they've got an engine case cut out on these, which they didn't have on the 750, so I think it's got to be modified. You may well see that bike come out in Black Widow livery in Donington, we'll see.
This is close here between Strafford and Thornton. Surely, oh, Blunt was a bit hot there into hisies, but surely in the background, those two boys, will Thornton have a pop at Strafford? There's number 31, further back, Matthias Dankowski. Don't know if I've said your name right, but it's not a bad effort for a first go, was it? through his ease. So coming down into Lodge Corner is the race winner, Richard Blunt, but in the background I'm keen to see Stratford and Thornton. At the moment it's still Stratford, and that is so important, but it's going to be the checkered flag and a race win, another one to add to his tally here at Thundersport. Blunt wins the GP1 Classics here at Oulton Park, and across the line now we wait for the Golden Era Superbikes. It will go to Ryan Stratford just across the line,
close.
and it will be 18 points between Richie Thornton, the championship leader, and Ryan Stratford going into Donington Park, in a couple of weeks' time. Good win for Richard Blunt there. Applied pressure to Ravenscroft, got through on him. He wasn't to know that Joe would ultimately pull in, but he wins it by 8 seconds from Stratford on the Golden Era Superbike. A crucial victory for him over Thornton. Pearson was 4th, Rob Smith 5th, and Jake Owen took 6th place. GP1 Classic then, top 3. Richard Blunt and Son, winning from Shane Pearson and Craig Jeff. In the Golden Era Superbikes there then, Ryan Stratford, Richie Thornton, and in 3rd was Kieran Smith. And in the freshman, Rob Smith, Jake Owen and Ryan Ledbetter. Confirmation then that the championship does go to Donington with 18 between those guys. Andy Chalice is now 50 clear of Mark Biswell, going into Donington the finale as well. In the GP1 Classics it's all done for first place, but John Wright somehow has managed to stay in 2nd place because Stanier didn't end up finishing either race. And so that is not bad for him, is it? That's it from us here at Oulton Park. Let's see what happens in the championship finale and decider at Donington next time out.